You can see Russia, a whole continent all together. You can see Canada, a whole continent all together. You can see United States of America, the whole continent all together in one. Now, let's look at Europe. You'll see the whole continent together, right? But look at Africa. Look at what we represent Africa today. Do you see all the subdivisions and subdivisions and subdivisions and how the colonizers cut us into pieces? So that right now, you have people say, I'm Nigerian, I'm a Chadian, I'm this, I'm that, but we are all Africans. But you know, as a Nigerian or as a Sierra Leonean or as a Senegalese, we cannot individually compete with anyone in the world. We just can't. We just cannot. But when we come together, we're a powerhouse. That is the whole process of Project 54, coming together and then teaching value-based leadership. If we're going to do that, my friends, if we are going to do that, then we have to be prepared for a total change ourselves. The first change I want you to start thinking of is in yourself. This right here is what the change process is. When you are changing, you first got to make a decision that you are going to change. So I'm saying you as an individual have come to say, hey, listen, I want to change. I want to grow so that when I grow, I can effectively grow my community, transform my life, and eventually we have the Africa that we look for. Then you have to have a commitment. That is the second thing about change. Every day, you can do all you want to do, but if you are not committed within you, that you are going to give it everything you've got, that you are going to come up with whichever way you can, you are going to do whatever you have to ensure that
please allow us to access permission.
And therefore change the community around you. If you are unable to do that, if you are unable to commit, you're really not going to be able to get to that change that you want. After you are committed, first you make a decision that I am going to change for me, that I am going to grow, because you cannot achieve your biggest good. You cannot do exactly what you are prepared, what God creates you to do, if you don't become the best of who you can be. You're only going to be mediocre. God don't create mediocre people. So you make a decision, and then you commit to your decision that whatever it takes, I am going to do it. Then think about your goal or your reason for trying to do what you are doing. What is the reason? What is the goal? And hold on to that. Hold on to that reason or that goal. If you just want Africa to be great like I do, hold on to that. If you want better for yourself and your family, hold on to that. If you want to change your life, hold on to that. The question I'm asking you is, why
using the device?
Why do you wake up?
Changing progress.
How do we do the things that do you think there's going to be obstacles?
Do you think there's going to be obstacles?
There will be. There will be obstacles right, left, and center. That is why we talk about this Tacoma Buster. That is why we talk about you being able to get to a point where you know you have issues coming, you have problems coming, you have obstacles coming, but you are going to go over that terror barrier. We talk about that. We create a strategy to bust the terror barrier wherever it is. Because every time you are trying to do something great, something else is going to come on right, left, and center to stop you. And then the next thing you have to do is persist. Persistence is what is going to get you to the end. Persistence is what is going to make sure that you achieve that which you are really trying to achieve. Persistence is going to do that for you. You're going to continue being who you are. You're going to change yourself, change your environment, but you stay doing it. I challenge you, my friend. It doesn't matter what you think. As long as you persist, as long as you continue, as long as you do the same thing over and over and over, you're going to get better at it. Over and over and over. One day, you are going to achieve that change. And then change also requires an attitude shift. You have to be able to change your attitude. You have to be able to get to a point where you know that, you know what, the change that you want comes with you also changing. You cannot hold on to the same things you've always had and expect a change. So this is what the next 9 lessons is going to be about. It's going to be about the change process. We're going to go over some of the stuff we've talked about before. If you don't have attended or you've mastered it, you don't have to attend. But I hope everyone will continue learning, because you know what? For the past 3 hours, I was getting better myself. For the past 3 hours this morning, the reason why I am just getting to you guys is because I was getting better myself. I was preparing myself. I was getting what you guys I'm going to be giving to you, because you cannot give what you don't have. Most of you are here today because you want to learn something, you want to get something so you can pass it on to other people. And that's what this is about. So let's talk about persistence, which is the lesson for today. What is our perception? What is perception? Persistence is what you do when you continue doing the same thing over and over until you get better at it, until you become the master of it. But perception is our ability to understand something to be different. You're looking at it, but you understand that this thing is different to that which appears to be through our physical senses. You know, it's our perspective. It's our point of view. It's the way that we explain things to ourselves. And I'll show you an example. You know, a writer that I love so much, Wayne Dyer. Wayne Dyer says something that's very clever about perception. He said, when we begin to change the way we look at things, the things we look at begin to change. Let me say that again. When we begin to change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. So as we just seen, information comes in through our senses and it influences our thinking. But as that information comes in, it just is. That's all it is. It is. It's not good. It's not bad. It just is. The way you take that information and process it, your perception about that information is what defines what you see. From a perspective of reality, relatively, nothing is either good or bad. Nothing is either large or small, positive or negative, until we relate it to something else. You see, when you relate it to something else, that's when we need to understand is the process of relating it to something else takes place in here, in our minds. That process where, okay, yeah, I look at this thing small and I say, this is small, in relation to that. Or this is big in relation to another thing. All that happens in here. It doesn't happen out there. It's an inward thing. It happens in our mind. So we can always choose how we respond. We can choose our behavior. Behavior that's self-serving rather than one that's self-defeating. We can choose that. And with practice, as long as we are practicing with practice and an intention to do so, we can always do this. You know, even in the most challenging of situations, we can do it. And as you will come to see in a few minutes, by always choosing the most appropriate way to, by regaining conscious control over how we respond to the events of our life, we will move inexorably closer and closer and closer to whatever goals we have set for ourselves. You know, my friends, things happen to all of us. That's life. That's life. And whether you are conscious or you're unconsciously, we decide the significance of those events. You know, we determine their importance, and we do it through our perception. Let me try and illustrate to you the power of our perceptions. Okay, you can imagine, just in your mind right now, imagine a circle, and let that circle represent an event in your life, a particular event that you can remember. It could be anything. Now, as you consider that event, understand that it's just an event. It just is. It's just it. You can explain it to yourself in a negative way, or you can explain it to yourself in a positive way. It is just is. You know, you can look for the bad in it, or you can look for the good. It just is. You can enjoy the benefit, or you can go back and you can look for the lessons in that event, because it was just an event. From a perspective of polarity, of balance, everything has an opposite. You know, the only reason why there is a down is because there is a up. And every time there is an up, there has got to be a down. You can't have a hot without a cold. There is no inside without an outside. Everything have an opposite. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And so we are considering perception, polarity, relativity, complement each other perfectly, if you think about it. You see, everything has an opposite, and things to us relative to something else. Then this gives us an enormous power, doesn't it? Think about it for a moment. If we're experiencing a difficulty in some areas of our lives, we're experiencing it as a difficulty because of the way we are thinking about it. The reasoning of us thinking about that difficulty is what makes it a difficulty from a polarity perspective. There must be good aspects to it, and there must be bad aspects to it. I mean, if we are feeling bad, then we are probably considering the bad aspects. I know that sounds like incredibly simplistic and perhaps unrealistic, but just think about it for a moment. Just listen to me. Listen to me and think about this for a moment. Relativity says that the aspect that we consider bad is bad relative to things that we consider better. And so it must be better to what we consider worse, mustn't it? But if we are thinking about it, being better than something else, about it as being worse than something else. So if we are feeling bad, we are using both of these laws against themselves. Does it make sense? If you're feeling bad, you are using the laws of polarity against ourselves. If you have trouble with this concept initially, it may help to consider something that has happened to you. Something that you thought at the time was bad. You know, I always tell people, when you cross over to the other side, I always say when you cross over, because it's when you cross over to the other side, that's when you make a decision about that thing that you previously thought was bad. Think about what you think was bad, but actually turned out to be very good indeed later on. Clearly, there were good aspects to it, and there were bad aspects to it, because you experienced both. And your experience of good or bad was relative to how you were thinking about it. So go back, my friend, and think about that event in your life that happened a while ago. But when it happened, at the time it happened, at that time, you really were thinking, man, this is bad. This is really, really bad. Something, I just can't get past this. And you get stressed out, and you get frustrated, and you are upset with yourself. Then a few weeks, a few months, a few days later on, you cross to the other side, and you are like, oh, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. You witness both sides. You see, the truth is, we need the whole spectrum of experiences, the good, the bad. We need all in order to grow. When things go well, we enjoy them and we feel good. When things go bad as we hope, we learn and we grow. John Maxwell wrote a book, it's called Falling Forward. You know, he was talking about how you, when you fall, when you make a mistake, or when bad things happen, you get up and you keep going. You get up and you keep growing. We learn and we grow. Now, remember, I'm talking about the human perception here. Remember that. I'm talking about the human perception. There is one thing that does not have an opposite and doesn't only exist to us relative to something else, and that is the infinite. The infinite doesn't relate to anything else, or whatever word you use to describe it, something that is infinite, that includes everything. It doesn't have an opposite because everything is included. But for now, let's just keep the focus on our human perceptions. So, why is the way we look at things important? Why? Think about it. The way we look at things changes the images we have in our mind. The way you look at anything, it changes that image. The images have the potential to release a huge amount of energy. And through our actions, that energy brings about results. And that's what we want, isn't it? That's what we really want to change. We want to change the result in Africa. We want to change the result in us. First, we got to change the result within you. Now, so just consider the idea that everything has an opposite. See, if everything was green, I'm giving you an example now. If everything was green and there were no other colors, then the concept of green wouldn't be necessary, would it? Because everything would be green. So there is no concept of thinking of red, yellow, white, because everything is green. The whole place is green. We're all green men. The house is green. So there you don't need another color. Now, we wouldn't have invented a label for green if everything was green. The only reason why we invented labels is because we want to differentiate green from brown and red. But because everything is green, so therefore, it wouldn't exist, or at least we wouldn't invent a label for anything. It wouldn't necessarily change the essence of what the thing was, but we will change the way we interpret it. The way we describe, the way we explain, the way we label it to one another. If I'm looking at you right now and I say red, you immediately see red because that's how red is interpreted to you. But if everything is that one color, then there's no reason for that. You see, it's the contrast that gives birth to the concept. Green as a category or a concept exists relative to what it is not. What's the category? In this case, greenness. What is the category? And what's out of the category? But remember, we created the concept of green. It's our cultural agreement as to what constitutes green. What is included in the term green and what is excluded that gives it its definition. So, does green really exist? Well, if you look at the complete spectrum of color, then there are actually no lines or demarcation between one color and another. There are infinite numbers of colors, all blending into one another. So we've just decided where one color stops and where another one starts. But here is the thing though, when you are young, this can take a little time to get your head around because we seek certainty. You know, we want to know the rules when we're young. We want to know what the rules are. When my daughter was 2 years old, she was getting the hang of colors. If you point to something that's pink, she will agree it's pink. But then if you pointed to something else that's a lighter shade of pink and say that is pink, and then something there's a very dark shade of pink, and it's still pink. So we can have many different shades of the same color, can we? And where one color stops and the next starts, it can be difficult for a 2-year-old to decide which word best describes it. You know, they find distinctions that can be there if we want. I had someone that at the intro have many words for one word of snow, some principles. It's important if we look at the distinctions, we can find them. So now, here is something that Dr. Fred Harlan Wolf points out. You know, I don't know if you know this guy. He's the mad scientist from What the F Happened, The Secrets. Listen to this. He says, interestingly, when we look at something and see it as a color, the color we see, let me rephrase that. That when you're looking at something, and you see that thing as a color, okay, the color that you see as is just the color of light that it reflects. And the colors of light, it doesn't reflect the color of light that it absorbs. So it absorbs all the other colors and only show you that one color that it reflects. Now, you need to think back to when you were in school, just for a moment. And remember that white light is made up of every different color of light. That's why when white light goes through a prism, it breaks out into the colors of the rainbow. Put them all back together again, and you get white light again. So if we see something as red, white light hits that object, the red part of that white light is reflected. All the other colors are absorbed. And here's the point. The reason they absorb those colors is because that's the color it is. So when you look at something and you see it as red, it's actually like every color apart from red. I know that's a little tricky. You're wondering right now. That's a little tricky. But just remember, light absorbs all colors and then it reflects it. Anyway, we don't need to go into that now. We will talk about it in the future. But for now, I'm just paraphrasing. But I just wanted to emphasize the idea that we are responsible for interpreting the world, period. So if you don't get anything else from that little illustration I made, just understand you as a person are responsible for interpreting the world, and it's our interpretations that we often mistake for the reality of the world. And the world can actually be very, very different to our perceptions. So, okay, with that in mind, let's go back to the circle. Let's say that you're at work, and that circle that I asked you to imagine before, let's say that circle represents an idea for a new business venture. Now, by law, that idea have good aspects to it and also bad aspects to it. Remember, we talked about that. Everything's got good and bad. So that idea have good aspects and it's got bad aspects to it. Now, things that will work very well and things that will not work so well. So you can either focus on the good or you can focus on the bad. Both of them are there. One person may look at it and look at it, saw this idea and see all the problems with it. And then it will swear blind that no, it's never going to work. Whereas another person will see all of the advantages in it and will swear blind that this is the best thing they've ever seen. The difference is not in the potential of the plan. That difference is not in the potential of the person, but is merely a reflection of the conditioning of each individual, how they perceive what it is that they are looking at and thinking about. You know, each person will see the idea from the viewpoint of their own talents and experiences. I can see how that would work because whereas the other person might say, I can see how that won't work because 100 different people look at the same thing. And they will see 100 different things, 100 different things. You know, some similar, there are some miles apart, but all of them different. And that's because we don't see with our eyes. Listen to this. We do not see with our eyes. We see through our eyes. We see with cells of recognition that's in our brain. The cells of recognition in the brain will determine what each individual sees. You know, there was a friend of mine, Adeoshun. He started a business, and he went into a community where he was going to be doing landscaping. So he cut grass. You go to the neighbors and cut grass. When he got in that community, there was a guy that was working there before, and the guy said, no, you don't want to do that. You don't want to go to that community. He said, you know why? In that community, they don't pay you. He said, I've been working here for like a year, and every single time I go back, I have to beg for my check. That they don't pay. No, don't go there. The guy, he look at him, he's like, what are you talking about? I just started working in this place and I gave them bills and I told them when they pay my bills, I will do the job. And everybody that I have worked for has paid. You see, perception. Perception is different. An ongoing battle in businesses, you see, is to centralize or decentralize. Which one is better? Businesses are thinking about now, which is better? To centralize or not to centralize? Well, clearly there are advantages and disadvantages to both of them. There are people who think to centralize it, and there are people who think not centralizing is a good thing. There are advantages to both. But I'll tell you, if you compare the advantages of one to the disadvantages of the other, it's going to come out what the clear winner, isn't it? But you got to remember the reverse can also be done if both exist. This issue has got to be responsible for much more disagreements between people. The issue of perception. Now, I said a moment ago, relativity states that nothing is either large or small. Nothing is either good or bad, positive or negative, until we relate it to something else. So consider a cardboard box for a moment. Just think in your mind a cardboard box. I know you are thinking. Now here's another question. That cardboard box that you are thinking about right now, is it large or small? Is it? Think about it. Now, let me tell you. If you compare it to an engagement ring box, then it's large, right? But if you compare it to a packing crate, then it's small. But think about it. It's still the same cardboard box. It's when you compare it that you get the relativity of what it is. The obvious truth is the box in and of itself is neither large nor small. It just is. It just is. The box is not small. The box is not large. But if you compare it to a packing crate, it's small. So that process, as I've said, it takes place in our minds. And we have complete control over that process. If you think of something that is expensive, compared to what? Compared to what? Compared to a cheap, inferior offering? Or is it compared to failure? Or compared to the value that the thing will eventually bring? Or maybe to the value that that thing will eventually deliver to the remainder of your life. The big difference in the thinking isn't there. We make it what it is to us through the way we think about it. So now, we interpret and we react habitually as a result of our past conditioning. And those habitual responses are below the level of our consciousness. So they appear automatic, but that doesn't mean that they cannot be controlled or changed by us. They can be. Yeah, they can be. The mistake that we all make with our habits, though, is that we want to control them with our will, with our conscious mind. But as soon as we grasp the fact that we need to reprogram our subconscious minds in order to bring about permanent, effortless change, then we are off. Okay, so what do we mean we don't see with our eyes? How can that be true? Of course we see with our eyes, don't we? Let me show you something. Let me show you something. And with both of these laws in your mind, I'm going to show you something right now, and I want you to take a look at this, and I'm going to ask you a question. Okay? Take a look at this picture I'm sharing with you right now. I'm going to ask you to, for a minute, okay? I'm going to ask you to focus on this picture. I'm going to ask a few questions, although I'm not expecting you to to answer, but at the same time, I want you to take a look. So take a look at this picture that you are looking at. Can you see? Now, what do you see in this picture? Now, believe it or not, when some people look at this picture, they don't see the 9 dolphins that we all see, or do they? No. Okay, seriously. When young children look at this picture, they don't see the couple that the adults see. Because I know most of you looking right now, you are seeing the 2 adults. But when young people look at it, they just see the 9 dolphins. But if we are looking at the same thing, where can the difference lie? We are looking at the same picture. A young person looking at this picture will tell you, oh, I see 9 dolphins, and they will count it out to you. An older person who have a different perspective like you and I, look at this picture and they're like, oh, I see 2 adults. We don't see through our eyes, do we? Like I said before, we see with cells of recognition in our brain, and young children don't yet have the cells of recognition that the adults have. They just have cells of recognition for the dolphins. And so that's what they see. The dolphins. Yeah, okay, I know. Some of you are so confused right now. I know you are saying, what dolphins? Let me show you. Let me show you. Right here. Is it easier now? Can you see those dolphins? Some of them swimming up and some of them swimming downwards. Those dolphins are the colors in black. We don't see through our eyes, my friends. So I say to you, to a certain extent, we only see what we expect to see or what we are looking for. You see, children could see the couple, but they don't. Now, this simple point is absolutely huge if you think about it. In fact, it's so important, I'm going to spell it out again because it's easy to miss the aha moment in here. It means that our past conditioning determines what we see, how we see the world. So if we want to see things differently, what do we need to do? Reprogram. Reprogram. That's one thing you got to do. You have to reprogram. Make a mental note of that because I'm going to remind you of that when we talk about the importance of a goal card. But if we just go back to these 3 boxes for a moment, let's say the middle box represents our income. Maybe we are literally noticing the larger crate and we upset ourselves. Or the smaller box. And if we look at the box, we feel good about ourselves. Infinite number of squares out there, and we are just not seeing them. Now, many of these points take a bit of contemplation to accept, but that's when repetition is so important. But let's look at how what I've just said could make sense. Of all the visual simulation coming into the eyes every second, most of it is filtered out before it even reaches the conscious mind. Only a very small proportion is deemed to be relevant and therefore offered to our conscious mind. You got to remember the processing capabilities of the conscious mind is very limited. And so it's important that it's not overloaded with unimportant or unnecessary information. And the filtering that takes place is a result of our whole conditioning. You see, the simplest example of this is probably the ticking clock in a room. Think about it. You can hear it. Then it goes, it goes tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, and you can hear it. then it goes, doesn't it? Because on an unconscious level, you decide that it's not interesting, or so it's not processed to your conscious mind. It doesn't get to your conscious awareness because you have made up your mind that it's not important. You know, you can consciously override the filtering out if you want. Think about your refrigerator in your house right now. There's always that zzz that's going on, but yet you don't even hear it. You don't even think about it because you filter it out. So you can consciously override the filtering out if you want. Like if you want to hear the ticking clock or the hum by the refrigerator, all you got to do is, it doesn't take long. You can filter it again. And as your attention goes to something else, it's like I now tell you in a room, look for red, and you look for red. You see all the red, but you miss all the green because you are not looking for the red. It's how our brain interprets things. I remember one of my first experiences with this phenomenon was after I bought a new car. You know, I bought a new car and I was so proud of that car. It's an hybrid. You know, before I got the Prius hybrid, I've never seen a Prius anywhere. Nobody else have a Prius. All of a sudden, I bought a black Prius hybrid. Everybody have a Prius hybrid. If I turn right, I see a Prius. If I turn left, I see a Prius. In my neighborhood, I'm kind of Prius, because now my awareness is on that Prius. It's on the thing that I have. Now, the actual numbers of the car that I'm seeing all over the place is always been there. So what changed? I changed. I am now emotionally involved with an hybrid Prius. I was tuning to them. And so my subconscious mind knew that this was now important information. And so information that had previously been filtered out as useless. Every time I pass an hybrid Prius, or every time I see with there, that information that was previously filtered out is now coming back, because now it's important information. Now it's presented to my conscious mind as vitally important. I see all those black Prius hybrid, just like it's always been, but it's been there before. Think about it. Just like you always hear the clock, but you never notice it. There was the change. If I say there's a clock in the room now, and I say can you hear the ticking clock? You will listen and you will hear it. And that's change. That change, my friend, is here. That change is inside me. It's not outside. That change is what made the world different outside me. So you see, your subconscious mind just accepts what the conscious mind gives it. If you say black hybrid Prius are important, then they're important. But think of how this same thing could work to your advantage. What about turning into success? What about tuning into our goals? What about tuning into our dreams? Would it be nice if our subconscious mind was presenting opportunity to our conscious mind rather than filtering it out? It's worth thinking about it, isn't it? It's possible. You know, it's really, really possible that people we see enjoying success are seeing things that we don't see. Things that are there, but we are missing it. Imagine being emotionally involved with an abundance rather than lack and limitation. Imagine if you are emotionally, you throw your emotions into what you want rather than what you don't. Imagine being emotionally involved with having all rather than none. How different would the world look at if what we didn't want was filtered out rather than being highlighted and underlined and thrust under our nose time and time and time and time again. You know, a friend of mine, a mother, loves her children so very dearly. Every time they are going to school, she's standing out there and telling them what to do and how to look right and left and center. But I notice every time when she sent them to school, she said, before you cross the street, look right, look left, don't get hit by a car. You get it? Look right, don't look left, don't get hit by a car. So we are always thinking what we don't want. Remember, our subconscious mind is always well-intentioned. It just gets mixed up sometimes. So how does it know what we want or what we don't? See, whatever we are emotionally involved in, the thing you love is yours. But the reverse is also true. The thing you hate is also yours. The thing you want is yours. The thing you hate is yours. So how do you grab the thing you want to you and keep the things you don't want away? It depends on what you dwell on. Ask yourself this question. Do you hate poverty more than you love opulence? Do you hate being fat more than you love being healthy? Do you hate injustice more than you love justice? Do you hate being shy more than you love being confident? What is your attention? Where is your attention? Because wherever your attention is, that's exactly what you get. Do you hate war more than you love peace? You know, Mother Teresa understood this. She said she will never attend an anti-war rally. But she said, if it's a peace rally, then I'll be there. Think about that for a minute, my friends. Think about that for a minute. She said, I will never go to an anti-war rally. An anti-war rally is supposed to be a peace rally, but you are using the negative, which is the thing that brings the war. Anti-war brings war. But a peace rally, call me, I'll be there. That's what she said. Now, you are doing really well. Stay with me here. Listen to this. This is just about as bizarre as anything you'll ever hear. But since everything is energy, and energy cannot be created or destroyed, then everything we'll ever want is already here. Listen again. If everything is energy, if everything is energy, then everything you want here, everything you want is already close to your reach. If not in one form, then in another. So maybe the only thing that's stopping us becoming aware of it is that we are not tuned into it. Maybe if we could just get emotionally involved with the good that we desire, if we could just like get in harmony with the good that we desire, it will start to show up in our lives. Maybe we're already surrounded by whatever it is that we want, or will ever want, or could ever want. It's there. But our subconscious mind is filtering it out because it doesn't think it's important to us. Maybe all we do to begin to see is not to open our eyes, but to open our minds. Maybe that's what we need to do. Now, the point I'm trying to make is this. It's not our eyes that we see with. We see through our eyes. We don't see with our eyes. We see through our eyes. We see with cells of recognition in the brain. That's much more there than we are even aware of. It's our programming that determines what we are aware of and how we then interpret and explain what we are aware of. You see, 2,000 years ago, there's a guy, Epictetus was his name. He said, we are disturbed, not by the events of our life, but by the views we take of them. Wendy Dryden is a professor of a university in London. He's a teacher of Albert Haley's rational emotional behavior therapy. And he's amended Epictetus' quote slightly. He said, we are largely, but not exclusively, responsible for the way we feel and act, the views we take of the events in our life. Another philosopher, Karl Menenga, said that if we want to improve the quality of our life, then we need to improve the quality of our perception. Because our perception is really the truth of what we get. Let me give you a final example. When you go to a movie and you are watching a movie, and you know you are watching a movie because you have popcorn in your lap, because you have a drink and you are sipping on it, and you saw a vampire coming around the corner, getting ready to grab that person and suck their blood out. And you get scared. You are terrified. Why? You are in a movie. You're watching a movie. You knew exactly what was going on. In fact, you've seen this movie before. Why do you get scared over and over and over again? Why? Because we only see through our eyes. We are processing in our brain, our subconscious is telling us that that which is happening is really happening. So what is your perception of Africa? You know what I hear? What? Oh, corrupt. Oh, bad leadership. When do you start suspending those words and start thinking of what we really want? The Africa that we want. So I'm just going to tell you, my friend, when you develop your perception, you can see more of what you want to see. You can see less of what you don't want to see. And we can become aware of opportunities that previously failed us. So if we are going to transform Africa, our perception got to change. We have to start seeing the greatness in us. We're going to do this. You are a chosen one. The reason why you stayed here all this time, listening to me and getting better within yourself, is because you have greatness within you. Everything you want in your life is surrounding you right now. It's there for you to grab. Start changing your perception. Think back to the time when something that you think was bad happened and life changed. We are going to transform leadership in Africa. It's already in the books. We are going to be launching in Nigeria. We are going to be joining the transformational team to transform Rwanda. And after that, we are taking a team and we are going right through Africa. Are you going to be part of it? Or you are just going to be a number? Are you going to be here? Are you going to dedicate your time yourself to really doing something that's bigger than you so that you can achieve that which God created you to achieve? Thank you very much, everybody. We will have a few questions and answers. I think we went a little bit over because I was in my mentoring session this morning. You see, I'm mentoring you guys, I get mentored by others too. And this morning, Roddy Galbraith and John Maxwell We are grateful to give 2 hours of their time, which you guys will eventually get to be a legacy partner of ours will also have access to. Before I take your question and answers, I want to say a big congratulations to Abubakar, the first partner that have people under him. Now, if you're asking what does that mean, when you have 25 people under you, that means Abubakar gets to be mentored directly by me once a month on anything that he's doing, anything that he needs to do, and wherever he want to get to. Thank you very much, everybody. I will take some questions now.
Thank you so much, Ade, for that powerful training. I have been practicing this myself for, I believe, at least about 3 weeks now, and I can definitely see the change in my life. Not focusing on the negative, not focusing on the things that I want to see, only focusing on the things that I want to see. So if I desire more wealth, I see myself in my wealthy place. However I perceive wealth to be, that's what I see. What I see on my job, that's what I desire on my job. I actually visualize it, and I meditate on it. And so I'm so grateful for this training, and I can only charge each one of you to start visualizing the thing that you want to see and start declaring and decreeing it. And I guarantee you that you will see the change. So the first question that we have will come from Amos. Amos, you can unmute and ask your question. And then the next person that will have a question is Piero, and then Adrissa. You may unmute, Amos. You have to unmute. I can't hear you, Amos. Unmute, sir.
Okay, there you go, Amos. Go ahead, we can hear you now. Amos, if you can hear me, we cannot hear you. It looks like your network or something.
Okay.
You can type your question and Tabitha will repeat it because we cannot hear you.
Okay. Piero, you can ask your question while we wait for Amos to type his question. Unmute, please. Piero, unmute.
Can you get me?
Yes, we can hear you. Piero, please ask your question.
Yes, my question I just want to know if Mr. Demi can check the and
okay, so Piero, for the sake of time, we're gonna ask that you type your question as well, okay? Idrissa, you may
hello.
ask your question. Thank you.
Yes, we want to say thank you very much, our father. We say thank you for such powerful presentation, and our coordinator. We say thank you to every participant. I'm so blessed all the time. We keep on mentioning about our future unity and how to work together and how to build Africa. I really realized that Africa is deeply hard. My concern actually is with regards the recruitment of the 25 persons in your group. All right. So I want to know two things. There are some that do not have internet connectivity and they are not closer. How would we get them on board? And there are some that have phones, but they're not all the time online. So how would that be for someone who wants to influence others to be part of the project?
Okay, thank you very much, Idrissa. That's a very good question, and I think Amos actually brought that question in the past because Amos is working with farmers that are elsewhere. Let me make something very clear. Okay, I want to make sure that you guys understand exactly what our purpose is. Okay, we are trying to transform Africa, and we will transform leadership in Africa. We are going to have the Africa that we want. At some point, I'm not saying tomorrow, I'm not saying next year, I'm not saying your next election, but we are going to start doing things through young people like you that are going to change the world. We are going to change the world, my friends. I have no doubt about it. But here is to your question, those people that don't have access to the internet, they are your responsibility. That's why you are here. You come up here, you get the training, you get the worksheet, you get everything, and you go back and you train them. And you talk to them about changing their perspective, and you talk to them about becoming a transformative agent. They don't have to go nowhere. They can do it right there where they are. And you are the ones that are going to do it. Now, let me explain why we want you to have 24, first 25 and then 50 people on your team to be able to get more impact. Let me tell you what it is. When you have 54 people on your team, my organization is investing in you to get you certified by John Maxwell so that you can come and be part of us. You can be a transformer and travel with us as we go to transform Africa. That's the goal. Excuse me. The ultimate goal eventually is for us to transform Africa. Now, those people that you say don't have access, as long as they are aware of what we are trying to do and they are aware of where we are going, they will support you. You will be the one representing them. But if you don't have people, when you have people that I know you are influencing, if people don't have internet connectivity, or they are in the village, or they are so far away right now, it's going to be your job to train, develop, and bring those people along. The people that have internet connectivity are the ones that are going to really be able to make a difference. Because even in today, Africa, if you don't have internet connectivity, or you don't know how to get online, I mean, the chances of you being able to be a great change agent worldwide is limited. But you can do it in your community. You can go door to door. You can talk to people about what Africa is, what we are going through. You can show them how we were divided and now we need to come together. We have our AFCFTA right now. I talked to you guys about that. I have on my desk right here somewhere my emblem that I carry with me, because that is where our success starts as African. Okay, the African Intercontinental Trade Area, that's what guarantees that any African can work in any African country if they want to. We are getting close to the Africa we want. That's why we are looking for 54 people. Well, I'm not saying, oh, every 54, the people from Sierra Leone or the people from Nigeria or the people from here are going to represent them. You might have the way Sierra Leoneans are getting on board. You might have people from Sierra Leone going to Equatorial Guinea to do leadership transformation. You might have people from other sides of the continent You might have a South African transforming Ghana. You can have a Ghanaian transforming Ethiopia. So it doesn't mean where you come from, it's exactly where you're going to be. But those of you who have access, who are learning, who are growing yourself, it's going to pay back. It's going to pay back. On March, I'm going to be in Orlando at the certification for John Maxwell. I'm hoping some of you will be there at some point. Now, if you have your own resources, the only reason why we want you to have 54 people and then we are sponsoring everything for you is because we know the seriousness. But if you already are serious within yourself and you have the resources and you are going to spend your own money, you're going to fly yourself to the US, you're going to get the transformation from John Maxwell, you're going to get all the training, get everything that we are going to get for you. But you want to do that yourself, then just reach out to Tabitha later on and say, hey, I got my money. I just want to do it on my own. I want to go and I will get you connected and we will get you your travel papers and you will do that. And you can come in March because after March is going to be August. By August, I am expecting a few people that we as Project 54 is going to take with us. But before August, we are going to do a lot of stuff down here after we do our launching so we can get ready for Rwanda. Because everyone that we are able to get in, I'm expecting at least 10 people per country that were for the future. They tell me I release a lot of later information. Yeah, that's just the way I am. I know right now Tabitha is saying, oh my God, don't say too much. But I always say too much to get you ready for where, okay? Thank you very much.
Exactly. Dave, I would like to ask a clarifying question on behalf of the Transformers. I believe that some of their concerns are for those persons who, like say for instance, for Amos or maybe an Idrissa, who most of their influence may be in a community where those individuals don't have access, but yet they're still making an impact. Based on the framework of Project 54, how can they qualify, or can they still qualify if perhaps maybe they don't have the 25 or the 54 people that they're influencing, because their major impact or those individuals who don't have internet access? So how do we measure their engagement within Project 54 to qualify them for, the John Maxwell training or to be a change?
Okay, that's a very good question, Tabitha. Let me excuse me. Let me try to answer that for you the best way that we can. The framework that we have set up right now says you got to have 54 people. For us, that you got to have 54 people you are influencing. And we are verifiable and say you are influencing. Now, you could be influencing more than that, but it doesn't show where you are, or it doesn't show that, okay, this is what you are doing in your community. Can I say something to you? Can I honestly, just look at me. Let me say something to you right now. This project is not about us. I want you to understand that. This project is not about us. The only reason why I put a number, we're going to be investing up to $13,000 per person to get all the certification you need, so that not only can you, when you have all the certification, you not only can make a life for yourself, make a better life. Let me tell you something. The world made you rich. The world made you rich. Because if you are rich, think about what you can do in your community. Think about how many people you can help. So the whole process of Project 54 is giving you another skill. that you can actually use to earn money at the same time, growing people and helping people to be better leaders until we transform the entire Africa. Africa needs to be transformed. It's going to become a job. It's going to become a responsibility for some people. So even though you are doing it in your community and we don't see it because you don't have the way to show it or for these people to register on, I don't want to think of yourself as not being successful, because you are. Because you are. Your success is not only based on the influence that you have or based on what we think of you. Your success is based on what you are able to do with the people that you are leading. So when done tight, we will be thinking of a way to make sure it still counts. We will work on that, and then we will come back and we'll find a way. But right now, just focus on getting good yourself. Focus on all these lectures that we're doing that's going to help you to transform yourself. Because Africa got to have a mindset change. We got to change our mindset, for we are not a third world country. We are a first tier continent. We are not a third world continent. We are a first tier continent. And once we start thinking like that, things will start changing. You know, we don't know what we don't know. But what we know right now is that where we are is not where we want to be. And we know for sure that across the world, people see us as a great continent. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ade. We do want to remind everyone, we do realize that we're over the hour time and we don't want to infringe on your time. So, and we do realize that data may be a challenge for some. So if you would like, please feel free. You can drop off the line. We will create a video that you can definitely see at a later time. But we also want to be here for those that desire to sacrifice and to hear more questions, to ask more questions, okay? The next person we have a question coming from is Piero. Piero and Amos, because your background sound is loud and you're suffering with network challenges, we're going to ask that you type your questions in the chat. We do have a question from Susan Kamada. She said, how can someone create perception?
Okay. Kamada, can I ask you first, did you print out the worksheet for this training? Because if you do, it will really, really, really be valuable for you to go back and listen. Your perception is the way you see things. Your perception is the way you see things. Let me see if I can demonstrate. I wasn't prepared for that, but I have a bottle of water here. Okay, I have a bottle of water here, and I want to take out this label so that you can just see and you determine what you think you are looking at. So I'm throwing out some of the water out, and this is what I have. Okay, now, if you are looking at this bottle of water, what do you see? Because what you see depends on how you think. I'm looking at that and I think this bottle of water is half full. What do you see? Because there are other people who will say this bottle of water is half empty. I'm not an half empty kind of guy. My perception is that this thing is half full. He already worked his way up and it's getting filled and it's getting filled and it's half full. And all I got to do is continue filling it and then it will be full. Whereas some other person will see the same bottle of water and say, well, all I got to do is continue draining it and it will be empty because it's half empty. So perception is what we see. Perception is what you decide, and your perception is yours and yours only. You can perceive anything the way you want it. Anything the way you want it. You can see something and call it what it is, and that's what it is to you. Go back and look at that picture. In fact, I'm going to ask Tabitha to put those two pictures on our Facebook later on for you guys to see. Two people look at the same thing and they see two different things. It's your perception. You see, when you learn to work with your subconscious brain, you can achieve everything in life you want. When you learn to work with your subconscious brain, look at the most successful person that you know. Are they different from you? The chances no. The chances are they are probably exactly the same like you. They probably think exactly the same way you think. They probably do exactly the same way you. They probably have one nose and two eyes. So why are they able to achieve more success than you? It's their perception. It's their perception. You see, Olympic trainers sometimes they use their perception in the race even before they go to run. This is what we have to do first, my friends. We have to change our perception about our community, about Africa. We have to understand that what we're trying to do is huge, but we can do it, and it's going to be done, but we have to change our own mindset. So everything we've been talking about, all this training I'm giving and all that, is first of all to change your mindset. Because your mindset you have to have a mind that can make powerful things happen. And that's where we are. Thank you very much for that question.
Thank you so much. Piero, do you still have a question? Piero Doubt, do you still have a question? I still think he's having network issues.
Yeah, you have network issues. If you guys type your question, you repeat it. In the essence of not having a question, let me try to close this up, and I will say this to you guys, okay? Anytime you are trying to do something as big as we're trying to do, you're going to have challenges. So I've asked Tabitha to consult a few people. Now, if you are here and you are a person of faith, I don't care what your choice of ways that you worship the Lord. But if you are a person of faith, I am asking you to get with Tabitha if you would like to involve in a prayer group, okay, for Project 54. We have some very, very, very big things happening. There are some things that I've come across that is bigger than I expected myself, and I know only God could create those. But at the same time, we were having some challenges in bringing it all together, that we know with God all is possible, and if God initiated this, then it's already done. So we want a team that's going to be whether you are a Muslim, you're a Christian, you are Hindu, or you whatever your faith is. Let's start praying for the success of Project 54, because God's hand is on this. I guarantee you because I'm seeing it. I'm hearing what is going on. I know people who are reaching out to us and saying this is going to be done. And because we are doing this, we actually have avenues that are opening that we didn't even think existed prior. But we need God's hand on what we are doing so that it can be finished and completed. Because don't even for a minute think the devil is just going to allow us to just go scot-free and just do this big thing that he doesn't want done. But because we are people of faith, and we trust that with God, all is possible, and we are going to be able to do here. we think it will happen. So please get with Tabitha. I know we have several people on Zoom and several people on Facebook that are connecting. Let's just connect with her. Let's set up. Let you know about what program she has right now for just strengthening what we are doing. But thank you very much, everyone. We have a great day. We have great things coming on. Next week is going to be exciting. But for now, I'm just saying let's work on what we need to work on. We are going to be meeting this week with the Nigerian team to finalize some of the things we are doing for our launching and probably be able to put some dates together. We have the Sierra Leoneans that are just killing it. I don't know what's going on alone. I'm looking forward to a trip over there to just see what you guys are doing. We are reaching every other country in Africa. We've got a few people from Cameroon that just joined our movement last week. We have I was in more meetings this week than I've been. So if last week we couldn't be here, it's because I was busy. I was traveling actually. I was on the plane at the time that this workshop was supposed to be going on. So I apologize for canceling that. But good things are happening. Good things are happening. We have a mentoring session with those who have got to be a partner. I'm getting a lot myself. 2 hours with John Maxwell and Roddy Galbraith this morning is a lot, and it filled me up. So I have so much energy right now to pass on to you guys. I'm just saying to you, come along, come along. This is going to be great. We are going somewhere, and it's going to happen. If you have friends that you have invited that are not participating yet, get them involved. Let's just get our mindset right. Okay, let's get us right first, and then we can get to the next level. Thank you very much, everybody. I look forward to seeing you again next week. But we will be talking to some leaders again. Change your perception, and your life begin to change. Thank you.